From birth, man carries the weight of gravity on his shoulders. He is bolted to the earth. But man has only to sink beneath the surface and he is free. That is a quote by Jacques Cousteau, the man who is credited with revolutionizing scuba diving to make it what it is today. Hi, my name is Carrie Wills, and I'll be speaking to you today on the development of scuba diving throughout history and how it affects us in the present. The underwater world has always mesmerized humans. I have always loved the water. My dad sparked my interest at a young age by telling me stories about the times when he had been scuba diving. At the age of 16, I was able to take the first step to becoming a diver by obtaining my open water certification. Over the next 2 years, I slowly climbed the ladder to attain the rank of assistant instructor. The history of diving has come a long way. Originally, most people only dove for work or to experiment. Now, many divers only have minimum training for recreational diving. Diving has been recorded in history for centuries. HawaiiScubaDiving.com lists many of these highlights in a document called The History of Scuba Diving. Scuba diving started in 2 ways. First, breath hold diving, where a single breath would be held for the duration of the dive. Secondly, breathing through a tube that was connected to something at the surface of the water. There's evidence that ancient civilizations used breath hold diving to collect fish, shells, coral, and pearls. It wasn't until the 1500s that Leonardo da Vinci drew the first self-contained underwater breathing apparatus for diving, otherwise known as scuba diving. However, it wasn't until 1876 that Henry A. Fluce actually built the first self-contained diving apparatus. But in 1910, Sir Robert Davis modified the Fluce device and created the Davis false lung, which is used for submarine crews all over the world as an emergency escape. In the 1940s, Jacques Cousteau and Emily Gagnon revolutionized the diving industry by creating the aqua lung. The aqua lung is different than what has been made before because it has a demand valve that released air automatically when a diver took a breath. Up to this point, divers had to manually release the air for each breath. Until the 1940s, most scuba diving was science related. Scuba diving is now one of the qualifications for many fields of work. In the field of science, it is used to observe underwater life. Jacques Cousteau said that the best way to observe a fish is to become one. Even historians can learn much by scuba diving. Many ships and even ancient buildings, such as the Lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the original 7 wonders of the world, have sunk. And scuba diving has opened up whole new possibilities for studying and possibly even retrieving such items from the ocean floor. People have been trained as scuba divers for military purposes as well. The military has used diving for centuries. Even during the Trojan War, breath hold divers were used to build defenses and to sabotage enemy ships by boring holes into them. Greek literature tells us of a sailor named Cilius who escaped from the Persian fleet in 500 BC. He used a reed as a snorkel to hide underwater until the Persians had stopped searching for him, concluding that he had drowned. He then swam through the fleet and cut the mooring lines for each ship, setting them adrift. People currently dive for both work and recreation. Recreational diving is now a popular sport. People love to investigate new places. And since water covers about 2/3 of the earth and hasn't been explored very much, it makes the thrill of seeing a new kind of fish or finding something underwater almost like an addiction. There are hundreds of organizations throughout the world that that are there to certify new divers. There are dive shops throughout or in almost every city in the United States that make both dive gear and instructors accessible to the average person. One part of the book, Scuba Diving Explained by Lawrence Martin, shows divers who may want a little more challenge how they could be interested in technical diving, where they could dive with mixed gases, or even in underwater caves, or possibly even ice diving and deep diving. There's even the possibility of penetrating deep into a shipwreck far below the surface of the ocean. Breathing underwater has interested humans for a very long time, so they found a way through scuba diving that allowed them to not only work underwater, but also to dive for pleasure. History shows us that diving has progressed from simply holding a breath to a self-contained underwater breathing apparatus that allows almost anyone to dive for either work or recreation. I'd like to close with a quote from Jacques Cousteau. "The sea, once it casts its spell, holds one in its net of wonder forever." Thank you.